Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at XRP, some Bitcoin past performance, and the Sigma coin. So, looking in on our XRP at this point, we've started with a 5-way move off the lows, right? So this is giving us the basis and the idea that this is the beginning of a breakout as we're working on trying to move through this corrective wave 2 structure. Now, we do have this inefficiency gap down here, and there is a likelihood that we come back down into this region to start closing this candle right over here because it didn't quite get filled. Plus we have the -2 deviation VWAP, which would take us down to $1.90. So there is a chance that we can continue to make this structure, which we were initially looking for a flat, a wave 1 and a wave 2, into a larger ABC structure that can play out down here at $1.91. But I do think that might be in the cards simply because this price action has gotten pretty aggressive now at this point, if this is in fact flat that we're seeing here. And so with it pulling down to the 786 and even potentially tapping the 886, once you get down here for XRP, it tends to roll over and continue another leg lower. So, for those doing the 10 XRP challenge, this is a good opportunity to look to DCA. I got some of the portion of the challenge here, and we'll get more down in this region if we're so lucky to get it. If we start seeing a breakout, we'll move back up and chase it. So now, looking at our time intervals on this, we have our 4-hour completely maxed out to the downside. So we've got a bullish divergence on this indicator for momentum and these two that are fully maxed. So we're looking for another impulse to manifest here on the 4-hour. Now, you won't get enough of an advanced notice, but once you get down here, as you can see right here, once you get up to this region and before it flips over, you tend to have a bottom indication and then it bounces. So this guy is so overstretched that this is definitely oversold to this level. So this is why I'm entering in to the 10 XRP challenge behaviors right here, and then we'll see if we can get an upside pop. So this is why, based off the momentum, I do not think that our gap will close at this point. So we'll continue to monitor the 4-hour, and our daily is still telling us that we're still working to the downside. So we do have a momentum shift. It's been pretty poor on the momentum all the way through here. So you can see we never really got this momentum on the daily back up to the higher region. It's flopped on this one and this one, but this guy just never had any oomph associated with it, right? So it fell off well before the 10-10 event occurred, right? So you could just see we weren't able to sustain this green line rolls over, becomes red 2 days before the actual 10-10 event happens. So until we see this guy actually starting to pop off here and we see the momentum turn green and kick to the upside, we can expect that we'll stay down in these deviation ranges. And so any tag, or right now you're basically in middle spot between -1 deviation and -2 deviations, and that middle spot would give you the ability to try for this lower $1.93, $1.94 on the daily. So that's really why we are expecting it, but DCing in of your positioning and starting to get some might be a good way to go about it. So we'll continue to monitor, but the 4-hour is definitely overdone. The daily possibly can continue to pull this and drag this down into this region, but on all intensive purposes, the 4-hour is also finished, which is why I started entering with the expectation that if we go lower, there's some final dry powder, and then expecting a reversal with another higher low. So that's how we're looking at that. Now, historic XRP and Bitcoin. Let's go here. So I've shown this chart a few times. This is back in 2017. We had a breakout for XRP, a long grinding triangle, and a little bit of a, kind of a pop off the lows, returning to this level of the high, roughly that high right there, back in the day before breaking out of here. Well, during this time, Bitcoin did a flat. So you can see how it does this flat structure right into it and into this lull kind of fifth wave that's playing out. It just kind of goes, so that's what XRP is doing right now, just going, and so making that noise. But into the bull flag, the first one that comes in when we get back up to this region, which I'm anticipating for Bitcoin, takes us up to somewhere in this ballpark, right around here, around 102 to 100 range. We can expect to see XRP start massively outperforming based off historical views, right? So here's the final fifth wave. Here's your bull flag getting about halfway back up again. And into that bull flag, boom, XRP runs, okay? And then Bitcoin chases, and then we wait, and then XRP runs again. So that's kind of a cool thing. Now, What's intriguing that I find fascinating on this bull flag, so here's this flat. Well, where was this in time for Bitcoin? So we've seen this fractal played out a few times out there in the Twitterverse, and you have the 2017 in blue for Bitcoin, and the candles are current Bitcoin. And you can see how we have breakdowns that occur at the right times. You have corrective impulse structures for flats with the higher low that plays out here. 5-wave move to the downside for the flat to complete right over here. On 17, it ended up being an ABC correction and then a breakout. And into this move, you can see that we have equal moves here, sideways chop, breakout, sideways chop. But then right about here, it extends, like we get an extension of time that plays out for this overall cycle here, right? This guy ends up being way longer, okay? Well, now I've identified a while ago that we have a 5-wave move to the upside. And so into this 5-wave move right here, you end up having a flat structure where we end up doing the same exact flat we just discussed, an ABC down, ABC up, and a 5-wave move to the downside. Well, overlaying this to our current price action, you can see that the bottoms nearly hit the bottom, the tops nearly hit the tops, and then you have this bottom section here right where we are now, and the top section here right where we were. So you can basically infer at this point that even if we sweep one more time for the lows, we're probably grinding out of here, and this flat would have us chop around in this area for a little bit like we're doing now, okay? And then we would do our little bull flag, and into that bull flag, moving halfway up to the range, a little kind of break up in bull flag right around here, that would lead to the expansion of XRP and the overall market into this next leg. So nothing is technically broken at this point other than the length of time it's taking right about here. You can see it starts running longer in the whole thing. So I don't think this is worth abandoning in the viewpoint of looking over to this right section here and seeing how this is playing, because notice this volume right down here. This volume picks up massively right into that moment of time, right, compared to what it had been through all of here. To me, this even higher than where, or as high, if not higher than where we were during this prior run. What this means to me is institutions have arisen. So what has happened is the cycle was running on the normal speed and time that I think everybody was expecting. It stalled out into this move right here as the volume started increasing aggressively all through here. And then you get up into the beginning of this flat and look at just that volume, just massive volume back and forth of chop. And I believe that, to me, indicates that institutions have arrived and we've had a big shift. And I believe the ETF for Bitcoin occurred right here. So that's what's changed. We'll have to check the date, but I believe into this period of time, some of the biggest ETFs that launched for Bitcoin were all right here, and lo and behold, stretched everything out because the adoption that everybody was looking for by Wall Street had a consequence, which was time. And you can see how much time that volume has given us now. So now we're looking at this impulse moving up and giving us this first little bull flag, because into this bull flag, bam, XRP runs to the first leg, cools off, and then runs again. So now remember, this cool off could be a while now based off of just what we're seeing in this market dynamic of increased time. So yes, that's basically some of the throwback kind of information that we're looking at. And with that, we have XRP, right? So I've zoomed out today this is Sigma, so on XRP. So we have basically the completion. I think we're close because this is the completion of an ABC. We've had all of the gaps filled off to the left here. So we had a gap right down here, which we were anticipating eventually closing, hoping that the supply in this region would hold it. It didn't. And then we had all of this inefficiencies right here. But at this point, there's really nothing left gap-wise on this asset to identify a potential lower low at this point. I mean, really nothing that I can see here. I mean, there is a small little guy like right over here down to 153. I mean, maybe if we have a flash crash or something like that. But man, talk about the buying opportunity of a lifetime if that happened, right? So long story short, this is a standard wave 1, wave 2 completion. Long road to get there. This took a year, right? So it's December of 24, a year to finally cool off from all of the structure for humans. Now we're just looking for the impulsive structure playing back the other direction. And with what the community is doing, everything that it does every day, no doubts in my mind that this eventually will just recover, and we'll be very happy when this is just a memory in time. And But yeah, this is basically just a zoomed out view of just the large WXY, and ABC down, ABC up, and then we had another 5-wave move down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we're wrapping this thing up, getting close to completion. I see the 5 waves here. I mean, again, it could sweep lower. I doubt it. And if it does, then just be a buyer, right? Because the community hasn't gone anywhere at this point. So, but yeah, there's your quick overview of Sigma. And when we see XRP recover and move its way back up again, we will see a very different Sigma very quickly. And this will be your 1, 2, 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves for the upside is what's coming next for XRP. And with that, that'll be our parabolic wave 3 before we have to cool off for years and finally see that huge breakout potential, because this cycle that they're running for Bitcoin is going to be so much longer, especially if you consider how big this sideways move was. This is going to take a while to work its way through the system. So we've got years, I think, until we see this market cool off, which is great because we have lots of time to develop, build, and get up only type behaviors. But of course, all these dips will scare everybody. So all right, so that's how I'm looking at the market this morning, and we'll check in tomorrow.